My male 34 friend Chantel, female 25, is pregnant. She only found that out recently. Unfortunately, she found herself being evicted due to rent arrears and has nowhere to go, and the local council won't help her because they claim it's her fault because she refused to pay the landlord. I moved in with my girlfriend a month ago. Evelyn, my girlfriend, female 31, owns her flat. It's got a bedroom, a sitting room, and her home office. I work physically, so I don't need a home office, but she's a translator. She translates books and primarily works from home. When I found out Chantel needed a place to stay, I asked Evelyn, but she refused, claiming she needed her office. I gave her a few days, hoping that she'd understand the difficult position Chantel is in, but she wouldn't budge. So I approached her again, telling her she could work from our bedroom or anywhere, but it's cruel to leave a pregnant young woman alone. She still refused. Told me she's only met Chantel once and Chantel was rude to her. I told her it was the hormones and she shouldn't have taken it personally. She told me I was out of my mind if I thought she'd give up her office for someone who wouldn't even pay rent. I said she couldn't expect a homeless person to pay her rent, and she didn't ask me, so why should my friend? She wasn't happy with that. She told me her answer was final and not to bother her anymore about that. I said I live there too and she must consider my opinion. She replied, "That can change." I told her she was an idiot for saying that, but she replied that I was the idiot for even suggesting something so outrageous. She locked herself in the office to work. I'm furious with her, she's so out of line. I was about to go out with some mates as it was Friday and I vented to one of them and he told me that I was an idiot. I thought I was right, but my mate agreeing with her surprised me and I wondered, was I the idiot? Edit, perhaps I didn't explain properly. Chantel is a vulnerable young woman needing help that Evelyn could easily provide. You want to move a pregnant woman into your girlfriend's flat and have her give up her own office so your rent-dodging friend has somewhere to stay? That's something. Ha ha ha, that's about as absurd an idea as I've heard today. You are the idiot. Is the baby yours? Yeah, I'm like, dude nuking his current relationship. At least the baby better be his, lol, otherwise this man is literally destroying his relationship over something that's absolutely none of his business. Dude, it's been a month since you moved in, and you're trying to take over and move in your pregnant possible side chick who's made herself homeless by refusing to pay rent and whose only interaction with the person who owns the property has been to be rude to them. You should break up with your girlfriend because she would be better off without you. And they'll be living with a newborn. Even in the best of circumstances, that is not a fun thing. They'll probably expect her to be a second mommy and ATM and help with changing, feedings, etc. I was also a bit curious about a friendship between OP, 34, and Chantel, 25. How are you guys friends with such a huge age gap? I hope your girlfriend realizes how pathetic you are and kicks you out. A grown man moving into your girlfriend's flat seems like she's already taking on one bum who doesn't pay rent. You're forcing her to take on another one. You are delusional. You don't understand it. OP's a good guy. Get your own place and let Chantel move in there. Then you can help her get back on her feet. Since you seem to be such a nice and caring guy, maybe buy an old building and turn it into a homeless shelter. Evelyn is obviously not seeing what a caring and compassionate man you are. I can't believe your own friend doesn't even see what a heart of gold you have. The nerve of these people. I can see why Chantel would be rude to Evelyn. She's clearly not charitable enough like you are. I genuinely hope you and Chantel start a non-profit and help others in need with your same level of entitlement. You are the idiot, even if the baby isn't yours. My husband and I meet with a group of friends, 8 people total every Friday. We choose a brewery, meet there for a couple of beers and play games, Cards Against Humanity, Trivial Pursuit. Just a fun night with friends and an all-round good time. We're all in our 30s and 40s, some of us have small kids, others like us are empty nesters. It's an adult-only thing, so the friends in the group with small kids get babysitters so we can have adult time. We went to the brewery last week, about an hour-and-a-half drive for 4 out of the 8 of us that we wanted to try for almost a year. My husband and I got there first and found a large picnic-style table close to the bar while we waited for our group to get there. It was 2 large picnic tables side by side and you could easily fit our group on one table and another large group on the other. While waiting, a woman approached us and asked if she and her group could take the other side of the table. Of course, we told her yes, and she signaled for her friend's partner. He came to the table and he had an infant carrier and was holding a toddler's hand. I immediately looked at my husband and said, it would have been nice for her to mention that they had kids with them. A few minutes after they sat down, the rest of their group, 6 people in total, came to the table, and each of them had kids with them. One of the kids, who was a toddler, was screaming to be put down and immediately started running when they did. I was pretty upset and told the woman that it was really not cool of her to not even mention that their entire group had small children and that there were plenty of other tables that would have accommodated them in the tap room. They ended up moving tables, but not after the friend and partner of the first woman said it was not cool of me to make them move tables. My husband said that I was out of line, and when we told this to our friends, they were split, with half of them agreeing that it was not okay for them to not say anything about the kids, and the others saying that there is no rule against having kids in the tap room, so I should just have let it go. So, am I the idiot for calling out a woman at the brewery? Edit, this was not a restaurant, this was an actual brewery, tap room that brews and serves craft beers. Where I live, they're forbidden by state law to serve food of any kind. The only non-alcoholic drink is water. I get it, I don't want to deal with crying and screaming children, but she was under no obligation to tell you they had kids. You're in public. You're going to have to assume people have children, and they're going to be around you. You could have up and moved as well the minute you saw that they had kids instead of being rude. Sorry, but you are the idiot. Yeah, why didn't you move tables yourself after her whole group showed up? If there were other tables that would accommodate her group, there were certainly tables that would accommodate your group. And at this point, it was just the 2 of you, so would it not have been less hassle for you to move than make that whole group move? Yeah, but not everyone is expecting children at a brewery, especially when your own group gets babysitters, specifically not to have children around. Hope he's not the idiot. It's a brewery where the primary thing that is served is beer. It's absurd that entitled parents have decided that breweries are acceptable for kids. The same parents would be crucified if they brought kids into a bar whose primary thing being served is alcohol. I don't understand why it suddenly became acceptable to have kids around intoxicated adults. Makes no damn sense. Ever since my children were small, our family, my wife, 47, and I, 45 female, kids nearly adult male and teen female, has had a tradition where we let each kid pick a restaurant to go to as an end-of-school-year celebration. They each pick whatever restaurant they want for us all to go to and order what they want. Over the years, this has meant everything from banana split for dinner to a steakhouse or omakase to hand-pulled noodles. We've never put restrictions on it except that it has to be within an hour's drive each way. Yesterday, my daughter came to us with her choice, and her selection caught me completely off guard. It's an extremely high-end restaurant that costs $315 per person. That's a set tasting menu, so there's no way to, e.g., let the kids order something expensive and my wife and I order the cheapest thing. I checked whether they had age restrictions, and they permit guests over 13. With tax, tip, and parking, it'd be north of $1,500. This restaurant is an extreme outlier for our city, so it caught me so off guard. Even the fancy steakhouses here only run $100 per person, even if you order a nice steak, an appetizer for the table, and desserts. We've certainly let the kids pick expensive restaurants before. Still, prior to this, the most expensive things they've ordered were a $55 ribeye or a $60 omakase. We generally budget around $1,000 total for both meals, and anything left over goes into the family vacation fund. My wife and I told her that that was out of our budget, and she got very upset and said we had promised her any restaurant she wanted, which is true, we did say that, and she said I was going back on my word. I said, quite honestly, that it never occurred to me that she could find a $300 per head restaurant, let alone ask to go there, so it didn't occur to me to tell her that it was off limits. She got mad and said I was implying that she was being greedy. I said, I don't think you're greedy, I do think you're being unrealistic. She burst into tears and said she couldn't trust us anymore. My wife and I agree, but my sister, who's very close to my daughter, called me to tell me that it's important to never break a promise to a child. I asked her if she would have anticipated being asked for dinner at the only $300 per person restaurant in a 5-hour radius. She said no, but that's why she'd never make promises to her children. She says I need to apologise and either take her, we can technically afford it if we make cuts to other fun budgets, or apologise and find a way to make it up to her. I want to note that my daughter doesn't generally ask for expensive things. She's never demanded lavish gifts. She's pretty sensible about money, generally speaking, and she's always shown gratitude for the advantages that we all have. So I don't know where this came from. I did ask, and she just said she wanted to try it, and we promised. So, am I the idiot for saying no here? Not the idiot. I don't think you guys are idiots. Your daughter is trying to find a way to push the boundaries of dinner. You have been giving an inch and she's trying to take a mile. This is like telling a kid you'll help buy them a car when they graduate and they want a Lamborghini. That's just not realistic. If the sister is so concerned you're going back on your word, then let her pay for you guys. $300 per person is nothing to scoff at, and that money could be better spent around the house or towards something usable long term. I'd suggest setting a $100 budget per person in the future. Set clearer expectations. I have issues. Your sister is feeding into your daughter's tantrum. Even she herself said she wouldn't do it, so she should understand the severity of that much money being spent on a single restaurant for one family meal. Especially, I would just never make any hypothetical promises to my hypothetical children. Wow, thanks. Great advice. Right, LOL. The sister's input was just unnecessary and not understanding at all. I have to wonder if there's something else going on with the daughter besides the dinner. She had to know that her parents probably wouldn't agree to a $300 a person restaurant. She seems to be trying to get their attention, and if I were the parents, I'd try to figure out what's really going on. I wonder if she told someone that she's trying to impress that she's going there. I'm a single mother of 3 children, 18 female, a teen female, and a tween male. I don't have a good financial condition. My ex-husband pays a low pension, his salary is actually bad, and we don't go hungry, but we don't have the luxury. 3 years ago, my father passed away and I received my share of the inheritance. One of my father's biggest wishes is for us to buy a house, pay off our debts, and even help with the grandchildren's college. To be honest, this money was used to pay off the house and my debts. What was left, I did a big shopping, groceries, and paid the house bills, so I didn't reserve it for my children. It was a difficult decision, but we went from being in debt to living paycheck to paycheck. Not ideal, but much better. Since they were young, I told my children that if they wanted to go to college, I couldn't help them if they decided to go to college outside the city, and that they would have to work for it. Still, if they stayed in the city, they wouldn't need it so much because they would live at home. My oldest daughter got into a great college and is looking for jobs in the city, as well as cheap housing and government subsidies for living expenses. An important context. My brother is doing well financially and we don't get along well for random reasons, but our kids are friends. He has a son the same age as mine. In one of her conversations about college with her cousin, she discovered that he had a college fund left with his grandfather's inheritance. I never mentioned to my children that it was my father's desire to help his grandchildren, as it was up to us whether we did that. My daughter, when she found out, said that I could have saved money for the children and they wouldn't have had difficulty in college, in addition to needing government help, or having planned better financially, but that it was selfish to have ignored a grandfather's desire to pay for my things, unlike my brother who prioritized his son. This hurt me a lot as it was a necessary decision, but I told her that I did what was necessary to keep food on the table, and she needed to understand our situation better instead of coming to complain to me about decisions that are wholly mine and not hers about this money. We are not on good terms. She still thinks I made a selfish decision. Am I the idiot? Edit, the debts are credit card expenses because I was unemployed then and I used up my cards for months to have food at home and pay the mortgage so we wouldn't be homeless. And the big groceries purchase was because we needed it after months of having the bare minimum at home. But 90% went to pay for the house. These wishes of my father's were never written in a will, only what the division would be. But he always told his children how he would like us to spend it. So it was $120,000. About $110,000 went on the home, paid off all, $8,000 for my debts and $2,000 for groceries and paying bills. If it was of utmost importance that the money goes to your kid's education, he could have set it up that way in his will. He didn't and left everything to you instead. Not the idiot. It's not like you're using the money for vacations instead of funding their education. Also, you have minor children in the home currently. Housing and food take precedence over post-secondary education. I've also seen how parents and grandparents leave what they think are life-changing amounts of money to people, but it barely covers anything. The fact is, there wasn't extra, and by not being evicted and homeless, it did help your kids out. It just couldn't stretch to have any college funds after. Exactly, how are you supposed to pay for the kids' college if you're homeless? College is unfortunately a luxury. But you really should have sat your kids down at the time and shared the details of Grandpa's desires, that he had 3 wishes, and unfortunately it wasn't going to be enough to cover their college. Could your daughter also be hurt that you didn't tell her back when you got the info, and finding out from a cousin made her feel like you lied to her? For not being forthcoming, you are the idiot. My wife and I recently had a son and we named him Alec. My sister was the only person who asked why Alec and not Alex, and we said we liked Alec a little more. She argued that it was a dumb choice when everyone would call him Alex. I told her so far she was the only one who had, and that maybe it's her that needs to listen better or respect people's names more. She sulked for a few days and then told me that Alec is a dumb name, she doesn't like it, she doesn't think we should have chosen it for our son, and if we did have to stay close to it, we should just correct the spelling of Alex or just take her opinion of the name on board and change it. I waited until she was finished and I told her that her opinion on Alex's name is useless to my wife and me, and she should kindly not keep sharing it or try overwhelming my wife with it, who has developed pretty serious postpartum anxiety. My sister didn't respond well to what I said and took more offense to the part about her opinion being useless to us. She said the family should always be able to share their opinion. I told her maybe about some things, but only some things, especially when the topic is nothing to do with you. Our parents think I should have spoken to her more kindly and been less harsh about her opinion. Clearly my sister also thinks that, and she's still cranky with me. Am I the idiot? Oh no, Papa, not the idiot times 1,000. Your sister was way out of bounds. You sticking up for your own family sets a good precedence here. You did well. Let Sissy get cranky. If her name lends itself to it, you can call her by a name that is like but different from the real name. Say Marie instead of Maria, or Witchy instead of… you get the idea. If she complains, tell her you like your alternative version better and what's the big deal. Some gentle sibling ribbing here might bring home the point. I wonder though, maybe the name has a special meaning to her, like maybe an ex who cheated or something like that. Also, she voiced her opinion. Once was enough. However, what she did later isn't voicing an opinion, it's imposing an opinion and actively trying to control someone's actions, so that opinion will be honoured. OP is way more generous with his patients than I am. I would match her energy and let her know how stupid she was for her unsolicited comments and how even more ridiculous she was for insulting a newborn for his name, and how ridiculously stupid of her to double down. Honestly, if I were OP, I'd go no contact with the sister until she can say the baby's name correctly.